Welcome to Sunday Stock Talk, guys. It's Dylan with 2X Trading, and we're going to be going over what worked last week, what we saw last week, what to look for this week, news, setups, etc. You name it. We're going to dive into all that here. So let's jump in, guys, right away with the SPY. Big picture. Again, I'm always starting on the weekly chart. You can see still in this kind of rising wedge trend up as we back test this line, okay? And so looking at all these here, what we've seen every time we get bought up, anytime we kind of have an indecisive week or possible selling to end the week, that's been a reversal spot, right? Every time we've bounced, right? Here you kind of have this big wick. Again, right here, indecisive candle, bearish candle here, kind of an indecisive candle. So you can see when we've had these, those have been reversal points. I don't know if we're ready to reverse yet or not, but this is something that we definitely want to keep a watch out on, okay? On the daily chart here, you can see this is the biggest thing. This big trend line right here, as long as we're below this big picture, we are still bearish. Once we're above that, I would, really consider the bias to be flipped and kind of out of that market. But until that happens, again, what can we expect? You can see here, we kind of have this rising wedge, right? We kind of have, let me go here. Right, you can go there. If not, we kind of have this rising wedge look happening, or almost a megaphone look, whichever you want to call it, okay? And so as far as this goes, room to the high side here, again, this 200 SMA has been, the last two times we've tagged it, we've rejected hard if we get buying, right? So if we get buying and we get out of this area here, we have room back up to the 200. This gap start here, which is right at like 407. And then the gap fill is all the way to, this kind of 410 area. Basically, at that point, we would be up into this trend line where I then would be really looking for a bias switch to try and get short. Okay, so again, if we get buying, guys, that's what we're looking for, is move back up there. I'm going to zoom in here again to a 4-hour chart just so we can see every time frame here and where these levels are coming from. So again, I'm picking these levels from the 4-hour chart. If you look back here, we have a lot of tags of this 407, plus that's the gap fill. Right? 410, multiple taps here, plus this trend down. And then again, we have the 200 SMA in the middle of that. Okay. So to the high side, if we see selling, and if we break, this kind of trend here down, again, last week we had this head and shoulders, right? So here was your shoulder, here's your head, here's your shoulder. We broke this down. We're back testing it right here. If we, get back over this and can reclaim 400, again, that's where I think we'll see this move to the high side. Really would be focused on calls. If we break this down, right, 390 is key. 390, huge level. We saw a really big bounce off that zone here the other day. But once we're below that, we're more than likely going to test 385, this support trend, and then fill this gap back down to 381. Okay, so this really here being the key. Once we kind of can break out of this 390, if we get over 398 and 400, I'm really going to be looking bullish. If we get below this trend line here, 393, I'm going to start to be looking bearish, possibly for a retest of 390, and then for a move back down to 385, this support trend, and then gap fill here at this 381.15. So that's as far as the SPY goes, guys. The Qs looks almost identical. Really same setup, a little weaker. Tech has seen a little bit more weakness. Again, you can see this head and shoulders play out, break down, pop back up. Weekly chart looks almost the same here as well. Okay, market wise, a couple things we really want to focus on here, guys. Again, anytime, you always want to be aware of this. I just use Market Watch, the economic calendar. Nothing Monday, really, nothing Tuesday. Wednesday's data overload, right? We have jobless claims in pre-market, new home sales, and then most importantly here, Mr. Powell speaks 1:30, and then FOMC minutes 2 p.m. Obviously, Thanksgiving on Thursday, take the day off, enjoy it with your family. And then Friday, we have a short market. It closes at, I believe, 1 or noon Eastern. It's going to be really light volume. So for all due purposes, we have 3 days of trading. More than likely, the first 2 days, we may see kind of chop waiting for Wednesday and all this data to really get released for a bigger move. Okay. So that's what I'm watching as far as the SPY goes. Kind of a plan of attack. Big thing, last week, the biggest thing was they kind of duped us. The market makers duped retail traders. They brought out all these 0 DTE contracts, and then they pretty much just chopped the thing to pieces, right? And you can see every single day here. I'm just gonna go to a 15-minute chart. Almost the same thing happened where we just go chop. There's money to be made here, and then about 1 Eastern we get a move. Give the entire move back, right? Same thing, chop fest, 1 Eastern, we get a big move, give the entire move back. It was just like clockwork, right? Chop fest here, 11 East or 1 Eastern here, we finally kind of got this breakdown. Not really much happening. Obviously here on this gap day, same thing. This one we broke a little bit earlier here, and then as you can see, gave it all back, ripped again. Same exact thing here. Okay, kind of chop fest all morning, finally break. So just really range bound. And until we can get out of this, trading is going to be a little bit harder. Make sure and trade closer to the money so you don't get chopped up and decay goes against you. And then again, Wednesday's probably going to be the deciding factor for which way we ultimately go breaking out of all this. Okay, Tesla here again last week, really bearish setup. Breaking down this, back test this, breakdown. We're trying to double bottom here. I wouldn't be surprised if we consolidate here for a little bit. If we consolidate for a couple days and then break down, I'm going to look to go short this again. You can see on Tesla, we have a lot of room still down to, 150 area, this 160 to 125 on the weekly chart. NVIDIA here, we're still kind of in this, whoops, wrong chart. This kind of rising wedge, maybe could look for a bounce down here, 150-ish. If we get some kind of bounce action here out of this bull flag for a move back higher, if the SPY allows for it. Microsoft pretty much looking the exact same here. Meta, again, gap fill intact. We still haven't filled it yet. Possibly here, if we get some buying, could back test this. Once we get this gap fill, I'll be looking for a short at that point. Amazon, same look as Tesla, bear flag back up, really bearish here again. AMD, same as NVIDIA. And then Apple here, you can see we kind of have this head and shoulders, really strong bounce. As long as we're above this, this kind of range here, we're probably going to stay range bound. If we can break out of this, we could possibly start to see a move one direction. And then guys, just a couple swings I'm going to keep on watch. BTU here, we're really starting to coil up in the energy sector. I like this for a possible long. If we can break out of this flag and possibly bounce kind of off of this support trend here. And then Oxy again in the energy sector here. We got this cup and handle kind of happening. Here's your cup. We're forming this handle here. We just got earnings out of the way, bouncing off the 50. If we can get the reversal here and break out, I'll definitely look to swing some calls on this to the high side, probably like $80 calls for January or something like that. So again, guys, that's what I'm watching for the week. Reach out. Let me know in the comments anything at all you guys need help with, videos you want me to go over. Again, we're here to help. Trade well this week. Don't overtrade. Volume's probably going to be light till Wednesday. Take your profits and then just keep stacking those wins up. Cheers, guys.